Well, I mean, the military and the corporate entities in Nigeria, for example, are obviously business partners.
What they haven't told us is what they pay to the bosses of the Nigerian police and the bosses of the Nigerian armed forces for a larger corporate protection that they get.
So there's no distinguishing, between the two as far as who is less responsible, who is more responsible. I mean, when you lie down with dogs, I mean, everybody gets fleas.
It doesn't matter if half of Nigeria dies away. Shell will still be making money in Nigeria. That's the moral implication there. They could care less what happens to the people of Nigeria. But because the military regime in Nigeria is so corrupt, so immoral, you can line up their pockets and, just get away with anything. And when communities start to protest about these issues, they call in the police and, they just kill people. Early this year, the London Observer actually revealed that Shell had been buying arms to sustain, the Nigerian police. So in other words, it pays them. Well, of course, Shell is not going there physically to shoot down people, but the police will do that. However, Shell will buy the arms for them. And again, from certain times when the police are out raiding communities, according to the community people, that you actually notice Shell helicopters flying, like, really watching. And then some flying boats, for the naval operations. Communities allege that Shell has provided a lot of facilities like this.
Tell you what, in the last 1 year, how many people have been assassinated in Nigeria by the agents of this government? How many people have had their houses destroyed by the agents of this government? How many people have had their freedom impinged upon by the agents of this government? And any government that oppresses the human race deserves instant condemnation and deserves to be sanctioned. That is what we ask for against this government.
Shell makes 14% of its worldwide profit from one country called Nigeria. But Shell, for your information, controls more than half of Nigerians' oil. Shell has no responsibility to the Nigerian people. And it's never really had any responsibility to Nigerian people, precisely because it's always been cahoot with all the governments in power in Nigeria.
All that they care about is making their billions of dollars in profits, and this they do very handsomely indeed under successive Nigerian military dictatorships. And so they're just not interested in the killings and the tortures and the detentions and the malnutrition. They just don't care.
You cannot just brush the surface of a culture and pretend that you have found an answer. We must turn inward to the deepest of our own roots to find the very best of who we are.
I do think that we have to appreciate the suffering of the Nigerian people because of the past decade of dictatorship. According to the World Health Organization, 10, 12 years ago, there was almost no malnutrition in Nigeria at all. And why should there be? It is the 7th largest producer of oil. They have tremendous oil revenues coming in each year. Now, about half of all Nigerian children suffer from structural malnutrition. The per capita income, the average income of Nigerians has dropped in a decade from over $1,200 per year, which would put, in global terms, would have made Nigeria about a middle-income country, really. And now Nigeria is the 6th poorest country in the world. Per capita income is down below $225 per year. So we're talking about an economic collapse under the dictatorship. There's no prospect at all for that changing as long as the dictatorship is in place. And I think these are the kinds of hard decisions that North American policymakers and individual concerned citizens need really to take up now. Because we're not going to have much more time on Nigeria. The place will eventually explode.
There's this misperception that really Africa doesn't matter. I mean, when you look at just the amount of money that comes out of, that's generated by multinationals and the amount of profit that's generated by multinationals in Africa, that's absolutely a farce.
Certainly the U.S. media looks at Africa as generally as a basket case. They are only interested in Africa if there's a famine in place where they can get those images of starving children. If there's a civil war, some of the coverage of Liberia is there precisely because it is sensational and gory and does fit in with a very racist public perception of Africa, and these kinds of images simply feed that.
Certainly, corporations are very, very aware of the price that they pay. When the media has access to information.
The heads of all these big media houses meet once in every 2 weeks to decide what is story, what is not, what is news, what is not. Head of ABC, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times, and so on and so forth, Los Angeles Times. If something that should be news normally will affect their power to make money, then it's killed. It's killed nationally.
I got it made.
He who pays the piper gets to call the tune. And in a situation where you've got exactly 3 companies that provide the piper with all of his income, which is the case in Nigeria, and the oil companies, then the oil companies have a lot to say about the music that gets played.
The government, whoever is in power, has a total monopoly over the media. They have gone on air. The Director of Defense Information, as they call him, has gone on air. The Minister of Information had been on the BBC to say that what we're doing is tantamount to treasonable felony and that we're all going to be jailed.
The saying in Africa that the soup fixed in 20 years may come to burn your lips. Let them think they're making money now. Sometime in the future, everybody will be aware of what they are doing, and at that time it will be too late for them to go back there and exploit the people. It will be too late.
What we've always insisted on is that do not hinder us if you can't help us. And hindering us can also involve supporting regimes tacitly through sale of arms to them, or implicitly through your multinationals operating in sustaining such regimes.
We need to target the flow of those petrodollars into the coffers of the Nigerian military. We think that's the single most effective thing that people here can do, is to simply boycott Shell, 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 boycott Shell. But the Nigerian people through their representatives, just as the South African people through their representatives, have in fact called for sanctions. What we are hearing from Nigerians is that yes, sanctions will cause us to suffer more, but it will shorten the day of the source of our misery, which is the dictatorship. Therefore, we are prepared to take yet more pressure, the kind of pressure that would come from effective sanctions if it's going to get rid of the regime. Exactly what the South African people were saying for years and years and years about their situation.
The people shall be in charge of Nigeria. And what happens to you then? We would remind you the role you played, and we would never forget our friends.